So you need to hire some new help for your organization. But wait, before you do that, you need to answer the question, could AI do this instead? Guys, this is the question that everyone is asking themselves right now. In fact, I would say that the biggest question of 2026 is that, can AI do this? But listen, don't just take my word for it. Listen to what the Amazon CEO, Andy Jassy, said. Advancements, quote, advancements in AI would lead to a shrinking corporate workforce. Or maybe you want to hear from the IBM CEO, Arvind Krishna, quote, I could easily see 30% of the workforce being replaced by AI and automation over the next 5 years. Or maybe you want to hear from JP Morgan Chase CEO, Jamie Dimon, quote, technology has always replaced jobs. AI is going to do that faster. Boys, there is a massive, massive shift in the way that hiring and work is completed. It's not, and frankly, I don't think it's going to slow down. If anything, 2026 is going to accelerate the impact that AI has on our workforce. We've shifted away, and just to kind of give you a little backstage pass into what's happening in these large corporations, you know, there is a shift away from proving you need AI in your organization to proving that you need a human. This is happening when you go to your boss or to the CFO or the CMO or whoever within your organization, and you say, I need to hire help. The first thing they're going to ask is, well, can I automate this? Is this the best way to allocate resources? Could I use AI to do this? I can tell you this is something that the organizations I'm working with are already asking. People on the team will say things like, hey, we need more help. Maybe we should hire more SDRs. Maybe we should hire more salespeople. The first thing that the leadership is going to ask is, well, could we automate that? Maybe an AI chatbot could do that better. What do the conversions look like? How does the attribution? What is actually driving the initiative? But listen, according to Bloomberg, many companies have instituted these internal standards that require managers to justify any new headcount by showing that AI cannot perform the role's core functions. This is absolutely happening across enterprises and corporations all across the globe. It's a huge shift away from the automatic human hiring toward an automation force workforce. And I get it. Guys, humans are expensive. We're complicated. We're sloppy. We're slow. We're emotional. Listen, if you don't believe me, just ask Karen from your HR. She'll tell you. She'll let you know what's up with the workforce. And the reality is that in a lot of places, working with algorithms and automations and tracking conversions and KPIs and OKRs, it just feels simpler. It feels like, frankly, as someone who works with dozens of people across organizations, it just feels easier. I know if the automation works, then it's going to work. Knowing if Jim from sales is going to follow up with his leads, I don't know how fast that's going to happen. And it can be inconsistent. We just came off of winter break, and let me tell you, things were not super consistent. But the algorithm always works, right? The automation always works, as long as you set it up. I do like the idea that I am in control. I have control of my destiny. It's a huge thing for me. And guys, as we move into 2026, 2027, et cetera, if we want to be relevant, respected, and financially free, it's not about who we elect or who's in charge or whatever. It's about what can I do to take advantage of my situation, to make the most out of what I have. I'll go a little bit deeper into this. The idea for me of leading and growing a sales team versus building a marketing pipeline and a customer lifecycle automation, it makes so much more sense to do the automation. And I'm not saying that sales guys are not valuable, hugely valuable. However, just to me, on the marketing side, it just makes more sense to be able to track the data that way. I'll give you a quick story here. I'm running the marketing for a SaaS company, and one of the media buy plans that we have is through Google Ads. So we buy media through Google Ads, PPC. And what we did is we ran a test, and we ran these tests for some different campaigns, and we were tracking conversion metrics to see where conversions were happening. And we specifically went to Google ads, and we said our primary goal is subscriptions. We want to get people to input their credit card and subscribe. And what happened over the course of a few weeks is that Google decided, because by the way, Google and these ad platforms, they have one goal. That is to get you your primary conversion, because if they're able to do that, you're going to spend more money, they win, you win, etc. And don't get twisted, Google wants to make money. They all, every time I get on a call with one of their coaches or consultants, all they want to do is say, well, you need to increase your ad budget. Regardless, they realize that the more you spend, the more they're going to make, and the more that they make, the more we're going to make. There's a symbiotic relationship. Regardless, what we found was that after running these tests for 3 weeks, we found that Google started allocating 97% of our ad budget to a product-led automated sales funnel. It only allocated a very small portion, even less, it's actually less than 5%. It's closer to 3% of the budget has been allocated to our sales funnel for the sales team. And the sales guys are like, where are all our leads? I'm like, listen, if you're not the reality is Google is, I can be emotional. I can be very emotional, ask my wife, but Google is not emotional. It's just saying what's getting the most conversions. And they're showing that the product-led sales funnel is converting at a much higher rate. So that's where the traffic's going. They say, well, we need to get the traffic back. I'm like, well, listen, we need to figure out how to get more conversions for that to work out. So I think that's an interesting story. And the reality is, guys, looking at all of this, it leads to the question of, well, why are organizations so focused, and how much are they allocating, and how much effort are they putting into these AI programs? And from some of the data that I'm looking at, I'm seeing 78 to 88% of companies are using AI in at least one business area. Everyone is getting on AI. And the reality is that if it works, it's going to really explode you. You can scale. It's much easier to scale an AI software than it is a human-driven management team. How much easier is it to implement a SaaS product that scales infinitely? You just have to pay more, versus onboarding, training, SOPs, hiring, firing, all the stuff that goes wrong with people. People are very complicated. You are very complicated, okay? You're complicated. So am I. That's who we were made, okay? But here's the reality. Experimenting and using AI does not guarantee success. We covered this in a video last year. I'll put a link to it here, but Klarna ended up firing half of its customer service staff for AI. They realized that the quality control suffered greatly, and they ended up hiring a bunch of people back. But they were not the only ones. Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff said, quote, "We don't need to hire any more engineers this year because of the productivity gains from AI." And Salesforce did a similar thing. They went Mark Benioff was like going all in on AI and automation. He ended up firing half of his customer service staff over at Salesforce. And we covered this in a video. I'll post a link to it here. Turns out it didn't perform super well. The quality control suffered, so now they have to go and hire people back. And in that video, we go into more detail about how people aren't being hired back as employees, but as individual contractors, independent contractors. That's a whole nother conversation. I think that's gonna be another big theme for 2026 is, well, when I'm finding a job, I'm not being hired as a W-2 employee, I'm being hired as a 1099 contractor. And what are the pros and cons to me? And I'll probably cover that a lot more frequently moving forward, because I think it's really helpful to understand that dynamic and how to maximize your opportunity as a 1099. I've been a 1099 business owner, contractor, self-employed for the last, 5+ years. And it's different. It's different than being a W-2, but that's a whole nother story. The reality is that companies right now are not saying, let's go hire new people. They're saying, can we use AI? How can we use AI? And if not, okay, sure, we'll bite the bullet and we'll hire a human being. And that's what you've been feeling in the job market, boys. That's what you've been feeling. And here's the reality. At the end of the day, companies are going to do what's in the best interest of them and their customers. They're going to be motivated to earn more profit. They're going to be motivated to innovate and solve new problems, just like I think we should be. The reality is you need to be aware of the tools that are threatening your roles and your functions. I got started in my first business was podcast production. I was producing and repurposing podcasts for clients. And at first it was pretty good. I was making money, growing clients, solving problems, time. But the problem was, over time, the AI tools got so good that my customers, my clients were saying, well, why do I need to hire Mark and his organization? Because we're recording everything in Riverside, and then Riverside is writing show notes, it's giving us titles, descriptions, it's chopping up tons of clips for us. It looks great, it sounds great. Why do I need to hire Mark and his organization to do that? So anyway, long story short, I had to adapt. I had to shift. I had to figure out new problems to solve. That is where we're at, boys. Finding new problems to solve. The problems that I was solving in the past, I'm not solving now. And the same is going to happen for you. The same is going to happen for you, 100%. And the reality is here that as an employer, you may find that you don't need to hire full-time employees. You might hire part-time or maybe just hire consultants. This is something that I've been big on recently. If it's something that, I'm not necessarily going to hire a whole new employee or 1099 contractor. I might hire someone part-time and say, here's the tools I want you to use. Or in some cases, if they're teaching me to do something that I'm not great at, I'll say, hey, let me hire you as a consultant. We'll meet, we'll meet weekly or a couple times a month, and then you give me the directions, and then I'll use AI to execute on the rest. This is something that I've been doing just this past few weeks. I'm going into the database of a software program and running code queries to get better attribution in data, stuff that I didn't know how to do. I don't know how to code. I'm not an expert coder, but by using tools like ChatGPT, specifically ChatGPT, I'm able to find different ways to query the database, run codes, get answers, because I could just go to ChatGPT and say, this is what I want to find out. Here's all the data that I've programmed into you. Write me the script, the code script for this query. Boom, done. This is stuff that I would not have been able to do before AI. So again, new problems. I don't need to hire a whole new employee to do this. I don't even need to waste the time of the higher ups within the organization. I can do it on my own by using AI. So as an employer, as someone who is hiring people, this is what I'm thinking about. But as an employee or someone who's applying, you need to understand and articulate why you are different, why you are better, and how you are using these tools. I will say this, if I'm hiring someone for a position, one of the questions that I'm going to be asking myself is, do I need to hire a person or can I use an AI? I'm thinking about that all the time. Everyone is. We just cited examples from the biggest CEOs in the world. They are asking themselves, do I need a human or can AI do this? Okay? And as an employee, you need to be thinking about that. You need to understand that that's something they're thinking about. And what I would really value getting on a call with someone and finding out if they're the right fit is having them get on and say, this is how I'm using AI. I'm using Midjourney to generate tons of images, and I'm using Manus to automate some of those processes, and I'm using Sora 2 to create tons of video really quickly, and I'm splicing it together using Opus clips. And putting all this together makes me think, wow, this person is on it. Because the reality is that most of the employees, most of the contractors that I work with are still stuck doing the same things now that they were doing 1, 2, 5 years ago. They have not evolved. And if you are not evolving with the AI, you're gonna get replaced. I'm sorry to say it. I know guys, you're gonna, people like to say, oh, it's not fair. It doesn't matter. It's not about what's fair. It's about what's real and what's happening. And what's real and what's happening is that big companies and even smaller employers like myself are asking, do I need to hire someone or can I use AI? And if I do want to hire someone, if I do end up hiring someone, I want them to explain why they are different and how they're using these tools to be better, because that is where the world is going. Guys, thanks so much for being here. My prayer for you is that you remain relevant, respected, and financially free. And if you want more access to these tools, this knowledge, all this stuff that's coming out that just can't make it into the videos, go to aiupdate.ai. It's my newsletter. It's completely free. I'm sharing the best tools, the best resources to make sure that you can crush it in 2026. Go to aiupdate.ai and get signed up. Completely free. Lots of freebies there. All right, boys, I'll catch you on the flip side. Make it great. Peace.